Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Before I get into the topic, I would like to start with a kriti on Lord Venkateshwara. Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare, Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare, Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare, Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. Vati Vasanta Bhairavi Nutam Sri Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. Vati Vasanta Bhairavi Nutam Sri Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. Vati Vasanta Bhairavi Nutam Sri Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. Prasiddha Tanjanagara, Prasiddha Tanjanagara, Sthitam Prasiddha Tanjanagara, Sthitam Prabala Guru Guha Vedya Madhyam, Prasiddha Tanjanagara, Sthitam Prabala Guru Guha Vedya Madhyam, Vasishta Vamadeva Viditam, Viditam, Vasishta Vamadeva Viditam, Varala Melu Mangastitam, Vasishta Vamadeva Viditam, Varala Melu Mangastitam, Rashika Shekaram Krupakaram Rakshita Bhaktanandakaram, Vasishta Vamadeva Viditam, Varala Melu Mangaskritam, Rashika Shekaram Krupakaram Rakshita Bhaktanandakaram, Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. Vati Vasanta Bhairavi Nutam Sri Prasanna Venkateshwaram bhajare. That was in the Ragam Vasanta Bhairavi, also called Vati Vasanta Bhairavi. It is a Raganga Raga. It is a composition of Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar. For the rest of the lecture, he will simply be referred to as Dikshitar. I will try to save time every way possible. So no more Muttaipu for Mridangam. No Sangati repetitions. Makes it hard for the violinists. So accompanying Lec-Dems is very difficult for the accompanists. So apologize upfront. So what is a Raganga Raga? So let's look at the swarams or the notes in this Ragam. Sa re ga ma da ni sa, sa ni da ma pa ma ga re sa, So it has got a Re, it has got a Ga, it has got a Ma, it has got a Da, Ni, and it has got a Pa also. Only thing is, Pa is missing while going up. Another thing is, Sa, Ni, Da, Ma, Pa, Ma, Ga, Re, Sa. This is called Vakra Prayogam, or a zigzag pattern. That is going in the ascent mode in the descent, or in the descent mode in the ascent. That is not being monotonically increasing or decreasing. That's called Vakra Prayogam. So it's a Vakra Ragam, it's a Raganga Ragam. Raganga is a special classification in the earlier Melakarta Ragam system. So this presentation is about the two systems of Raga classifications in Carnatic music. Okay? So, I'm also going to say that Vati Vasanta Bhairavi is the 14th Raganga Ragam. So that number has significance. So what is all this about? So let's take a step back. You know, there is the notion of Adhara Sruti, or the tonic. So it could be different for different people. My Sa could be different from the previous presentation. They had a different Sa. So you have Sa, and then the corresponding higher note, the same Swaram, Sa. So we say from this Sa, Sa to Sa. We call it an octave or a Sthai. So for those interested in the science behind it, the high Sa simply has twice the frequency as the lower Sa. Simple as that. So between the two Sas, there are 12 Swarams. So I'm going to name all including Sa. Okay? Not including the higher Sa. You only count it once. So the 12 Swarams, I'm going to rapidly name them. Shadjamam, Chatusruti Rishabam, Shadjamam, Shuddha Rishabam, Chatusruti Rishabam, Sadharana Gandharam, Antara Gandharam, Shuddha Madhyamam, Prati Madhyamam, Panchamam, Shuddha Daivatam, Chatusruti Daivatam, Kaisiki Nishadam, Kakali Nishadam, Sadjamam again. So we are going to sing all the 12 notes, but not necessarily in that order. I will just sing and then you will play. Shadjamam, Shuddha Rishabam, Sadharana Gandharam, Shuddha Madhyamam, Panchamam, Shuddha Daivatam, Kaisiki Nishadam, Shadjamam. Then we will take a different route to come back to the Sadjamam. Shadjamam, Kakali Nishadam, Chatusruti Daivatam, Panchamam, Pratimadhyamam, Antara Gandharam, Chatusruti Rishabam, Shadjamam. So two of these 12 notes have only one name, Shadjamam and Panchamam. All the other notes, they have two names, a first name and a last name. Shuddha Rishabam, Chatusruti Rishabam. Sadharana Gandharam, Antara Gandharam. So, as the name indicates, they are grouped in pairs. So, we are going to start using the very familiar short form, Ri, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni. So, we have Sadjamam, Panchamam, 2 Ris, 2 Gas, 2 Mas, 2 Das and 2 Nis. We are also going to call them Re 1, Re 2, Ga 1, Ga 2, just because convenience. The lower Re is Re 1, higher Re is Re 2. So we have 12 Swaras. But we keep hearing Sarigama Padani Varasapta Swara. So we talk about the Sapta Swarams and we only talk about Sarigama Padani. So how do we go from 12 to 7? Very simple. The wise ancestors realized that if you use all the 12 back to back, it is not very melodious. What makes music melodious is skipping swarams. So they said, okay, we can have up to 7 swarams. You pick 1 Ri, 1 Ga, 1 Ma, 1 Da, 1 Ni, and of course Sa and Pa. So you get 7 swarams. So you can see that for Sa and Pa there is no choice, but Re, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni, we have two choices each. So by picking different Re, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni combinations, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2, you get 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 32 distinct combinations. And when you get all these, take these combinations and go from Sa to Sa and come back from Sa to Sa, what you get is a Raga or a scale. Difference between Raga and scale, we are not going to go into that. And it's very interesting, this 12 note scheme is universal. Western music also uses the same 12 notes. As you can see, they are the keys on the piano. 7 white keys and 5 black keys. And so we have 32 distinct scales, and these complete scales, Sarigama Padanisa Sanita Pamagaresa, they were called Melakarta Ragas, Mela Ragas. And the person who first, there were different types of Raga classifications that have been proposed in history. I'm going to start with what happened in 17th century. A scholar called Venkatamakin, in the Chatur Dandi Prakashika, that's the name of the work, he proposed a Melakarta scheme. Only thing is, he didn't propose 32 Melakartas, he proposed 72. Oh my God, how do we go from 32 to 72? What he noted was, instead of taking 1 Re and 1 Ga, where you get 2 times 2, 4 combinations for Re Ga, he said, why don't we have a combination for Re 1, Re 2, as well as Ga 1, Ga 2. So he came up with 6 combinations of, from Sa to Ga. Re 1, Re 2, Re 1, Ga 1, Re 1, Ga 2, Re 2, Ga 1, Re 2, Ga 2, and Ga 1, Ga 2. So he added 2 combinations of 2 Re's and 2 Ga's. Only thing is, when you add 2 Re's, the higher Re is called a Ga. Likewise, when you add 2 Ga's, the lower Ga is called a Re. So he came up with 6 combinations of Re and Ga. When it comes to Ma, he didn't want to confuse the Ma's. So you have only 2 Ma's, Shuddha Madhyamam and Pratimadhyamam. And whatever logic applies to Re and Ga applies to Da and Ni by symmetry. So you have 6 combinations of Re Ga, 6 combinations of Da Ni, 2 possibilities for Ma. So you get 6 times 2 times 6, 72. So he came up with a structure, laid out the structure for 72, what he called Raganga Ragas. And my guru, Professor S.R. Janikraman, who has done a lot of research, he questions some of the terminology where initially they were called Janaka Ragas. Janaka has a notion of a parent, right? But without going into the details, because the other ragas sometimes are more prominent than these so-called complete ragas. So we can think of these 72 combinations, each combination as a clan. Okay? As a clan, as a house, as a village, right? So Venkatamaki proposed a 72 raga structure, but he didn't necessarily name all the 72 ragas. They were all named over the next 100 years or so. And there were already well-established candidates for this clan leadership. Shankarabharanam, Todi, Kalyani, and Kamboji. They were all well-established ragas that were candidates for this clan leadership. So like Ramakriya and Varali, Pantuvarali, they were all candidates. So they were all based on the swarams notes they used. They were placed as the clan leaders. And over time, other ragas were coined, or similar ragas were found and placed as the clan leaders. And they were called the Raganga ragas. And you have many ragas that were not leaders, but they were part of each clan. Based on the notes they use, they were placed in one clan or the other, and they were called Upanga ragas or Bhashanga ragas. The difference is Upanga ragas are very strict about using only one type of Ri, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni. Bhashanga ragas can use both. Okay, so the structure was laid out. And one of the characteristics, one of the requirements of a Raganga raga is it should have all the 7 notes. Ri, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni, Sa, Sa, Ni, Da, Ma, Pa, Ma, Ga, Re, Sa. So there has to be a Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. That was a requirement. However, it didn't have to be in both ascent and descent, and it didn't have to be monochromatically increasing and decreasing, as exemplified by Vati Vasanta Bhairavi. And it was called Vasanta Bhairavi. And then one other thing was done. They took the raga names. And the 72 ragas, they were also organized in a particular sequence. They said the first 36 will be use the Ma 1, Shuddha Madhyamam. Second 36 will use the Prati Madhyamam. And first we will fix the Ri and Ga and keep going through the combinations of Da and Ni. So first 6 will be Sa, Re, Ga. Second 6 will be Sa, Re, Ga. And so on. And within the first 6, you will go Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. Feel free to accompany. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. And so on. So that was the Raganga system proposed by Venkatamaki, elaborated by his descendant Muddu Venkatamaki, and further the names were standardized. Okay, what is the thing about name? Vasanta Bhairavi became Vati Vasanta Bhairavi. Many ragas got 2-letter prefixes, and in Sanskrit consonants, each letter has got a corresponding number. So they wanted to come up with the letter prefixes such that by looking at the letters, you can figure out where in the 72 they fit. So Vati Vasanta Bhairavi, if you look at Va and T, it's called Katapayati formula. I'm not going into that. Okay. So just by looking at Vati, you can say it is 14. But many ragas, the prefixes are only academic. Shankarabharanam's official name is Dhira Shankarabharanam. Nobody calls it Dhira Shankarabharanam. It's just Shankarabharanam. Okay. And so Dikshidhar followed this system very religiously. The naming and even the Raganga structure, which was in those days, ragas were not defined by Arohanam, Avarohanam. They were defined by what is called a Murchana. Every raga said, okay, these are all the prayogams or the phrases that are acceptable in that raga. So today we think in terms of first thing, Arohanam, Avarohanam. No, many ragas, you cannot even give the Arohanam, Avarohanam for Atana and many such ragas, because ragas were defined by what is called a Murchana. So that's another thing. We had well-established traditional ragas. We had not only Shankarabharanam, Kalyani, Todi, we also had Atana, Sahana, Neelambari, Begada, and ragas that wouldn't be defined by this Melakarta structure or the Raganga structure. But that said, Muthuswami Dikshidhar took the 72 ragas, the Raganga ragas, and composed in each of those Raganga ragas. He also made sure that the raga name is in the composition. Vati Vasanta Bhairavinutam Sri. Okay, so that was the system that was there. And then late 18th, early 19th century, there was another scholar, Govinda, and we have almost no information about who he is, where he was born, nothing. Some people even suggest maybe he was not a real person. Maybe other people just used the name and compiled the work together. Anyway, so there is a musicological work called Sangraha Chudamani, written by Govinda, late 18th, early 19th century, where he proposed a different Melakarta scheme. I won't call it totally different. It was more of a extension of the Raganga system. He said, okay, we are going to add two more rules. Instead of Raganga Ragam, we are going to call it Melakarta Ragam. Okay, the Melam is actually it's a verb. The concept of building out a veena. Veena is the demonstrative instrument for Carnatic music. So keeping the frets in the right place, that's called Melam. Melam katradhu. Correct? So Melakarta, he said, in addition to having Rigama, Sarigama, Padanisa, all the swarams, they also should be complete in both ascent and descent. It's called Sampurna. And they also need to be monotonically increasing. No zigzag allowed. That's called Krama. So Krama Sampurna Melakarta is the term that he used. And he said he came up with the 72 Krama Sampurna Melakarta Ragas. And many of them happen to be the same as the Raganga Ragas. Shankarabaranam was Shankarabaranam. Kalyani was Kalyani. Todi was Todi. So many Nata. Okay, Nata. Sare Gama Pada Nisa Zani Bama Gama Re Sa. So what he did was, he took that and said, okay, I don't like the descent. So he said, Sare Gama Pada Nisa Zani Da Bama Gare Sa. And he said, okay, it's called Chala Nata. It also does distinguishes itself from Nata, but it also follows this Katapayati formula so that it goes into the right slot. It goes to the right clan. So, two systems. So, it's easy to figure out what would be the equivalent of Vati Vasanta Bhairavi. Sa re ga ma da ni sa ni da ma pa ma ga re sa. Now, Visesh is going to use the same swarams and play the full Arohanam Avarohanam. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Anybody? Ragam? Name? Only experts not allowed to answer. Students only. Okay, it's Vakula Abharanam. If I try to make it too interactive, it will take time. Vakula Abharanam. So Tyagaraja composed a kriti in Vakula Abharanam. Na 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 Raga Muni Nam Miti No Ne Pula Puja Jaya Siti No Raga Muni No Miti No Ne Pula Puja Jaya Siti No Vara Munija Das So, this is Vaklabharanam. Interestingly, the Raganga Ragam of system 1, Dikshitar system, if I can call it, it is listed as a Janya Ragam in the Melakarta system. It's Vasanta Bhairavi. And Tyagaraja actually has composed in that Janya Ragam also. Ni dayarada, ni dayarada, ni dayarada, ni dayarada. Kadane varevaru. So, nobody asked him that he should not compose in the other system. Kadane varevaru. So, he composed in Vasanta Bhairavi also. Now, let's take... so, you will see that many Raganga Ragas ended up as Janya Ragas in the new system because the Raganga Ragas did not necessarily have the full scale, Sampurna scale. And Tyagaraja did many times compose in both the Kramasampurna Melakarta as well as the Janya Ragam. We will next take the 28th Raganga Ragam. 28th, by virtue of, if I just gave you 28, you should be able to say, okay, 28, you do the highest common factor, 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, 24. So it must be in the 5th cycle. So it should be Sa, Re, Ga, Ma. So 28 is 25, 26, 27, 28. It should be the 4th one, etc., etc. So the swarams are Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa, Sa, Ni, Da, Pa, Ma, Ga, Re, Sa. But in the Raganga Ragam, the head of the clan at that time was Kedara Gowda. Interesting, huh? Sa, Re, Ma, Pa, Ni, Sa, Sa, Ni, Da, Pa, Ma, Ga, Re, Sa. Neelakartam bhajeham. Neelakartam bhajeham satatam nirajasana dinodam Neelakartam bhajeham satatam nirajasana dinodam Neelakartam Balakushamba sahitam Balachandra sevitam Balakushamba sahitam Balachandra sevitam Shila Guru Gura Pujitam Sri Kadamba Vananatham Neelakartam bhajeham satatam nirajasana dinodam Akshaya Rupa Kanda Kaveri Tirotadabhimukho Paljamukho Rakshita Bhakta Pramukho Nakshatresha Shekharam Nama Rupa Vichitratara Daksha Paramishwaram Kedar Gaula Priyakaram Daksha Paramishwaram Kedar Gaula Priyakaram Daksha दक्षिण काशीपुरं दण्डित कामत्रिपुरं दक्षात्परहरं हरं दयाकरं कमलकरं नीलकण्ठं. So that was Kedara Gaula. As you can see, Dikshita's compositions are in general very slow paced. Lot of very descriptive of the deity. It was composed at a temple called Kulithalai on the banks of Kaveri, where Kaveri is very broad. Akanta Kaveri, he says. And so Sthala Puranam and then Ragamudra Kedara Gaula is mentioned. So from 28th, from the Kedara Gaula, how do you get to the corresponding main thing? You fill it out. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. That's Hari Kamboji. Everyone knows that is very popular ragam. It's when it comes to Hari Kamboji, Tyagaraja, there were many ragas, established ragas, which are very close to Hari Kamboji. Yadukala Kambodhi was very famous. Kambodhi, major raga in Carnatic music. Kamas, which is very preferred for Javalis and all that. They all are very similar to Hari Kambodhi. But Tyagaraja took Hari Kambodhi and composed so many beautiful compositions without creating any confusion. Just that one aspect is the testimony to the genius of Tyagaraja. Composing Hari Kambodhi, not just one, but many. And everything in different. Yanduko nirdaya dinamani vamsa yantarani. So the takeoff point, it's like, that was so I would like to quickly sing. Undedira mudokadu uraka chedi poke manasa. Undedira mudokadu uraka chedi poke manasa. Undedira mudokadu uraka chedi poke manasa. Undedira mudokadu Chandamartandamadya 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 Mandala Munanu Chelanguchu Undedira mudokadu uraga chedi poke manasa. Tamasadi gunaragitodo dharma sarva samudo prema karudo Tyagaraja prema karudo Tyagaraja chitta hitudo jagamunilde Mudokadu uraka chedi poge manasa. And this is very difficult to take up a kriti and sing this such a short version. It just doesn't feel right, but I just wanted to. This is a Lec-Dem, not a concert, right? So. And Kedara Gaula is a Janya Raga, just like the Bhairavi. But Kedara Gaula being a very well-established Raga, Tyagaraja has composed many kritis in Kedara Gaula, including in a very Divyanama Sankirtanam format, where it's very easy for people to pick up and still maintaining the beauty of the Ramuni Maravakave Manasa Ramuni Maravakave Sita Ramuni Maravakave. My guru, Professor S.R. Janakiaraman, he likes to use the word. Dikshadhar taught the raga, Tyagaraja caught the raga. Okay. Dikshadhar's raga elaborations are more, it's more elaborate. It's teaching, building it up. Tyagaraja will get to the point. Now, so Tyagaraja's, when it comes to Tyagaraja's raga handling, so much can be said. But one thing that always makes it to the top of the list when people talk about Tyagaraja, what he did from a raga point of view, 2 Melakarta ragas, Harikambodhi and then Karahara Priya are the 2 Melakarta ragas not noticed by Dikshadhar. Very surprising. But Tyagaraja composed so much in these these ragas. Karahara Priya is the next month. That is the 22nd Melakarta raga in the Sampurna Mela system. So again, multiple places where he takes. Pakala nilabadi Misra Chaputalam Samanamevaru in the Rupakatalam Chakkani Raja and many more. These are the 3 very popular ones. Pagirama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Pagirama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Ganikarobo Kaligi Sita Kantuni Kanaga Manasuram Jillaboke Madana Janakuro. So this is again, many stanzas with the same repeating music. That is a Divyanama Sankirtanam format. That was the Karahara Priya. I am really rushing. And the equivalent of Karahara Priya in the Raganga system is Sri Ragam. Sri Ragam was there. It was a very well-established Ragam. So, Sri Ragam was the head of the clan in the Raganga system. What is Sri Ragam? Sarimapanisa Sanipamarega Bhagavata Ramayana Gita Dishruti Shastra Purana Marma Mulan Shivadi Shanmata Mula Guda Mulan. So, Tyagaraja's Pancharatna, grand Pancharatna Kirtana Endro Mahanabhavuru is in Sri Ragam. Sari Bapa Nisa Sani Pama Riga Risa. There is something missing. No. The clan membership, despite the importance of Sri Ragam, there was one small certification that Sri Ragam didn't have. It didn't have the certificate. That is, it didn't have the swaram. So it was extended. Sari mapa nisa sani pada nipa mariga risa. That made it complete in terms of swarams. So Sri Ragam became the thing. Interestingly, on all Dikshadhar compositions, Tyagaraja doesn't use Padanipama. Dikshadhar used Padanipama in Sri Ragam only once per kriti. So that says something about how it was probably enhanced to reach that status. So our musicologists have really taken the tradition, taken what was well established and accepted by public. After all, ragas came from different sources, a lot of them from folk music. They've taken the tradition, they've taken the scientific approach of swarams and organization, and they have married the two. And Sri Ragam is a classic example. Sri Abhayamba Nilnu Chintil Chinavariki Sindai Kavalai Ellam Tirumamma Sri Abhayamba He Abhaya Kare Vare Ishwari கிருபத்தோனு யாதனை ரக்ஷிக்க இதே நல்ல சமயம் மாஸ்ரீ அபயாம்பா. Dikshidhar composed this kriti in 3 languages, Tamil, Telugu and Sanskrit. So I thought I will intentionally choose that. Ni adyadbhuta shubha gunamulu vinni nivedikani neranomiti nirajakshi nija rupa sakshi nityananda guru guha gatakshi rakshi sri abhayamba. Then in 21st Mela, Kiranavali. Panchabhuta Kiranavalyo Sarigama Padanisa Sanisa Parama Pagarisa. That is Dikshidhar's Kiranavali, 21st Raganga Raga. Okay? But we can easily construct the Melakarta. Sarigama Padanisa Sanidopa Magarisa. That is Kiravani, very important, one of the minor scales in the Western classical music. And Tyagaraja has composed both in Kiravani, and Kiranavadi again is a Janya Ragam. But Tyagaraja's Janya Ragam is Eti Yochanalu Chesevura Eti Yochanalu Sapamagarisa Rikapapadani Sapamagarisa. So Tyagaraja was also is credited with introducing the concept of brisk compositions, many brisk compositions, Madhyamakara compositions. So again, Kiranavali, Raganga Ragam, is a Janya Ragam in Tyagaraja system. Kiravani, Kaligi Unte, is a very popular, he has only composed one kriti in Kiravani, but that is enough to relish Kiravani in its fullest form. Bhagavata Sarulako Narada Prahlada Parashara Ramada Sulo Bhaguga Sri Raghu Ramuni Padamula Bhakti Chesina Riti Tyagaraju Nikpudo Kaligi Unte Gata Kalgunu. Tyagaraja let me, before I make that next point, let's look at, we go back to the 32-72 numbers, right? The 32 became 72 because Re played the role of Ga, Ga played the role of Re, and so on. They are called Vivadi Swarams, dissonant notes. Because if you have a keyboard, take any 2 adjacent keys and press them together. It doesn't sound pleasant. That's called dissonant notes. I'm scared to use any Western terminology with Dr. Bullard sitting right here. So, few points about Melakarta Ragas in general. So, 32 Melakarta Ragas do not have Vivadi Swarams. 40 of them have Vivadi Swarams. So, generally Vivadi Swarams are hard to sing, and even for the Rasikas it takes some getting used to. There are a few exceptions. Nata Ragam is a great exception. Nata Raga is not a typical Vivadi Raga. So I guess, but most of the Vivadi Ragas are hard to negotiate. So if you take even the non-Vivadi Melakarta Ragas, what Tyagaraja has done is he has taken many Melakarta Ragas and simply composed one kriti each. Vakulabaranam, we saw E Ramuni, Kiravani, Kaligi Unte, Gauri Manohari, Okay. Guru leka etu vanti guniki teliyakabodu. Guru leka etu vanti. Then Natabhairavi. Chetulara Sringaramu Chesi Chutoro. Of course, this Kriti over time it has been taken to Bhairavi and Karahara Priya, but my guru sings it in Natabhairavi. Natabhairavi he has composed one. Charukesi, of course. Okay. Todu Nida. Nowadays, I blank out when I. Todu Nida Nive Anuchu Bhakti To Gudi Padamu Patina Nato Matalada Modigalade. No, it is now a political statement. Adamodigalade Ramaya Mata. Charukesi, one Kriti. But that kind of defines, shows the expense of Charukesi. Denuka Teliyaleru Rama Sarigama Pada Nisa. Then Suryakantam Muddu Momo Yelagu Chelangeno. Kokila Priya Dasharate Dayasharate Ramadasharate. So many even non-Vivadi ragas, Tyagaraja has composed only one. These are all Shuddha Madhyama ragas. Pratimadhyama raga in Bhavapriya, Sri Kantani, I don't know the words. Bhavapriya's equivalent is Bhavani. Dikshidhar has composed Jayati Shiva Bhavani Jagajanani Nirojani Saregama Padanida Nisa Sangeethalahari Risa. Shanmukha Priya, such a popular ragam now, favorite RTP ragam. Tyagaraja has composed only one. Vadane Varu Leru Vadane. Equivalent is Chamaram in Raganga system. Rishabha Priya, Vachaspati, Ramapriya. And then even in Vivadi ragas, Tyagaraja has composed in about 5 or 6 Vivadi ragas. We had the wonderful Vanaspati today earlier. We heard it from Sharma Bandigaru. Pariyachakama, Manavati, Yavarito. Interestingly, Manavati, Sarigama Padani Zanida Vamagareza Yavarito Ne Raupuno Yavarito. I don't have the words here, but it goes somewhat like that. It has got a Janya Ragam called Manoranjani, which is the Raganga Ragam in Dikshidhar Paddhati. Janya Ragam Manoranjani also. That's a Tyagaraja composition. So Tyagaraja has composed in several Melakarta ragas, just one Kriti each. Now, one thing I totally left out in this presentation so far are the well-established Melakarta ragas. They enjoy that status because they were already well established, not because they are called Raganga ragas or Melakarta ragas. Todi and Shankarabharanam and Kalyani and Varali, they were all both the composers have reveled in these ragas. Same case, many Janya ragas. Janya ragas are basically ragas that which are not Raganga or Melakarta ragas, are all Janya ragas, right? So many of them, Saveri, Sahana, Danyasi, Ananda Bhairavi, Bhairavi, Kamboji, Arabi, Natakurinji, Atana, Neelambari, Begada. These are all very rich ragas of Carnatic music that both the composers have really explored and given us gems. So I would like to make a few concluding remarks. Muthuswami Dikshitar's raga names are different. Even when you have identical structure, Shanmukapriya Chamaram, for example, right? And many times the same ragam is handled slightly differently. Kannada Gaula of Muthuswami Dikshitar, Kannada Gaula of Tyagaraja, they are different. Purna Chandrika is different, subtly different. They are all advanced topics. And sometimes it's the same name but totally different ragas. Kalavati of Dikshitar is very different from Kalavati of Tyagaraja. So you have names are different, raga handlings are different, sometimes even when the names are the same. You have the Raganga system, which was very strictly followed by Dikshitar, extended by Govinda and followed by Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja's, the Melakarta system also set the stage for a scale-oriented approach in Carnatic music. In the sense, people were able to generate ragas. So I'm going to take Latangi. We can create a raga here, right here. We can take Latangi. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da ba ma ga re sa. We can say sa re ga pa da ni sa sa ni da ba ga re sa. Maybe there is a ragam by that name. I don't know. Somebody must have used it somewhere. So ragas are, and then only thing is they get shape when people sing it and all that. Okay, and but the traditional ragas, you can never take away their prominent role. All the ragas that I mentioned, like Suruti, Danyasi, Saveri, and subtly different. Suruti and Kedara Gaula and Narayana Gaula are very similar with some subtle differences. So people have asked me, oh, you people are so fussy, you are picking on these, nitpicking. You know what? If we didn't do nitpicking, everything would have kind of merged. I think the insistence on such precision is the one indirectly has helped fuel the development of Carnatic music. And so this is again, these are all opinions, and I would like you all to think about this. And I would like to conclude with the final, coming back to Dikshitar, who was very meticulous about composing in every raga and raga, because he wanted to make a statement, just like Tyagaraja has made a statement in his own way. Tyagaraja composed in many compositions in Saurashtra and Atana and all that, but when it comes to Melakarta, he just, okay, Kiravani, take one. Charukesi, take one. Either he saw that there are going to be a lot of Vagayakaras coming next, and he wanted to leave Dharmavati and Simendra Madhyamam and Latangi for the successors. But he made a statement. Dikshitar made a statement in his own way. Shringara Rasamaljare Sri Kamakshi Gauri Shrita Janakalpa Vallari Chiltayeho Angarakadi Graha Dosha Nivarana Karim Ananga Kusumadi Shakti Priya Karim Dvisaptati Raganga Raga Modini Matanga Varada Vedini Mangaladayini Rasika Pungava Guru Guha Jananim Sringara Rasamanjari. That is Rasamanjari, 72nd Raganga Raga, where he says Dvisaptati Raganga Raga Modini. Dvisaptati in Sanskrit is 72. So Dikshitar was very very purposeful in saying these are the Raganga Ragas, and this is the 72nd Raganga Raga. Goddess Devi, you enjoy the presentation of the Dvisaptati Raganga Ragam. So He also, in the Raga Mudra, it's very interesting, one final tidbit. He always mentions the Raga Mudra of the Raganga Raga. Occasionally, he also mentions the Ragam of the other system. For example, in this, Rasika, Pungava. Rasika is Rasika Priya, which is the equivalent in the Melakarta system. And then in the Ragam Saila Desakshi, Raganga Raga, the equivalent Melakarta Raga is Shulini. But the composition in Shaila Desakshi goes Shri Shulinim Shritapalim. So he mentions Shulini in Shaila Desakshi. So he was aware of the other system also, and in his own way paid some respect. Hari Yuvatim Haimavatim. Simharavam is the Raganga Raga. Equivalent is Hemavati. But he sings Hari Yuvatim Haimavatim. So much to say, and time, of course, is running out. Thank you, Rohan, and thank you so much, Visesh. It's, as I said, it's not an easy job to accompany Lec-Dem because I'll be talking, I'll be chopping things and not repeating. I was particularly very honored by the esteemed presence of Dr. Beth Bullard. She needs no introduction for many of you who have been coming to our programs. Dr. Beth Bullard was the director of world music at George Mason University, and she has held various faculty positions. Originally Western flautist, got her PhD in Western music, and see, unlike Indian musicians, especially in the genre of popular music, who have exposure to a lot of Western music, it's indeed very difficult for somebody in the Western music arena to develop an interest and appreciation of Indian classical music. And Dr. Bullard is very, very unique in that way. And she has been a pillar of support for Sangeethalahari from the time it started when these festivals were hosted at George Mason University. She was a big proponent of having it there. She wanted the students of music to be exposed to Indian classical music. Once she even arranged a Lec-Dem for the students of George Mason. Sri Subhash Garu was also in that presentation. And so it's indeed a privilege to have her here. She has flown all the way from Harrisburg today just to be attend this function. Really appreciate that, ma'am. And Sangeethalahari honors itself by honoring Dr. Beth Bullard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.